Welcome back to Cheese Sticks and Anxiety. I am your host, Barry Lumbersquatch, and in this video, we're going to be going over the 30th anniversary of Metallica's landmark album. It is a self-titled album, but it's more affectionately known as the Black Album. But before we do that, remember to hit the subscribe button below, like, comment, all that other happy horse shit. And if you didn't see excuse me, the Field of Dreams game between the Yankees and the White Sox, you totally missed out. It was a great game in a great setting, and if you were lucky enough to watch it, not lucky enough, it was on like major network, Fox, I believe. If you weren't a baseball fan, you definitely should be after that game. It was an amazing game, start to finish, the atmosphere, the setting, beautiful. I'm just happy that the Yankees lost. That's my biggest thing. I would have hated to see them win the first ever Field of Dreams game. But thankfully, Tim Anderson walked it off in the bottom of the ninth, which is how you want a game like that to end. You don't want it to be a blowout. It was a higher scoring affair, and it ended on a walk-off home run. Cannot ask for a better game than what happened there. But let's push that all aside, or should we go this way? We'll go either way, we'll blow it up. August 12th, 1991 saw the release of Metallica's Black Album, self-titled, however you want to call it. I'm doing this a day after the actual 30th anniversary, so I'm recording this on Friday 13th. I probably should be wearing a hockey mask and everything, blah, 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 Friday 13th, Black Cat, yada, yada, yada. I was 18 at the time. I was going to be... No, I wasn't even 18. Shit, I was 17 because I was born in September 1973. So, I had graduated high school and... Right? Yes, because I graduated in 19... Okay, I'm trying to get my timeline straight. So, I graduated high school. And when I was in high school, the last Metallica album that dropped was And Justice for All. So, you went from Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. Kind of steady progression, all in the same vein. I mean, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All were basically like I don't want to say they're the same albums, but layout-wise, musically-wise, like they were the same. Kill 'Em All was their thrash debut, and it was nothing like the three albums that preceded it. So, I'm out of high school. I'm Mr. Burnout, and I don't know what kids or metalheads in your town or vicinity area, whatever you want to call it, were called, but in Belleville, New Jersey, if you listened to metal, you wore black shirts, had a leather jacket, long hair, you were a burnout. It's what you were. You weren't a metalhead, you were a burnout. So we had like burnouts, Guidos, and jocks were like the three main I guess cliques would be the right way to say it, but I mean, it was just three different designations, I guess. I don't know. Labels. We were labeled. And of course, you always had your nerds and everything thrown in there. I don't know if kids do that nowadays. So, 17-year-old burnout. I'm out of high school. I'm working. I believe I was working with my brother at the time. And news of this album, like, dropped. It was coming out. Metallica was going to release only their second ever video, and it was going to be for the lead single, Enter Sandman. So this was a big deal on him. It was going to be on MTV, and it was going to be like, whoa, Metallica. Because before that, there was just the video for One, which was epic in and of itself. But now they're going to release a video for the first single off their new album. So Metallica's riding high after And Justice for All. Everybody knew that. It was a big, big album, especially for a thrash band. It just took them new heights with their tours and everything worldwide. So they come off the tour, they record the Black Album. I remember telling my then girlfriend, who was like, she was a senior in high school, I believe. I said, look, I gotta work. You gotta record this because I need to see it. So sure enough, she was nice enough to record Enter Sandman. I remember going to her house after work. I actually might have left work early because I worked for my family, so I could do pretty much whatever I wanted. Go to her house, we watched the video, and I'm like, okay, this is good. It's heavy. It's different, but it's still heavy, and it retains some of that thrashiness. And it's super catchy, and yeah, that's cool, you know. And that dropped the end of July, I think. That single dropped. So fast forward, it's a week before the Black Album drops, and I'm down at our local record store, Mickey Music, down the valley in Belleville, New Jersey. I will never forget it. I still wish Mickey was around. Obviously, these things don't happen, but I don't even know if he's still alive, honestly. I think he might have passed. Not that you care about that, but these things go through my head. So I'm down there, and I'm down there multiple times a week. Even if I'm not buying stuff, I'm just down there looking. And I don't remember how it came about, but I think we got to talking about the new Metallica album, and Mickey was just like the super nicest guy, and this is kind of why I miss the mom and pop record stores. Like there's none. I live in South Jersey now. There's just like none around here. And he's like, yeah, I've got the Metallica promo. Do you want it? I'm like, well, what, for Enter Sandman? He's like, no, I have the album. And I'm like, what? Hey, of course I want it. I'm fucking metalhead. Why would I not want the album before everybody else? Because in those days, you didn't really get the album before it dropped unless you knew somebody, or if you were lucky enough to get a promo like most record stores. They would get the promo so they could play it in store for customers. Customers would hear it. Oh, what's this? You know, maybe they buy it, maybe they pre-order it. Nowadays, everything drops YouTube ahead of time, leakers and all that shit, which is annoying. I don't think you should go and leak somebody's album before it's actually out. That's kind of shitty. So I'm like, yeah, a week before, dude, just lay it on me. He hands me this. I still have it to this day. This is the CD that he gave me, the Black Album. It's a little scratched on the front, so you can't really see it. But you open it up. That is the CD I got at a mere 17 years old. Yeah, I'll never forget it. I mean, and you open it up, and it's just dark, right? So you're like, look at those lyrics. You can actually read those lyrics. This is why physical media rules. I'm trying to keep it level for you all. And of course, you continuing with the black theme, you had the snake, which is from the Gadsden flag. Don't tread on me, which I thought was kind of weird. I still think it's kind of weird that they chose that, but I'm trying not to get the reflection. There's the album cover, because there's the snake and then the Metallica logo up here. Now, on later versions, the logo and the snake were made a lighter gray, so they stood out more. I think he should have kept it the same. Everybody knew what the album was. So right now, he hands it to me. Metallica! And your back cover, again, the snake. I'm riding a high. I'm like, holy shit, I'm super burnout. I got a cape on. I got to go see my peoples. And luckily enough, everybody that I hung out with at the time were all at our friend Chris's house. And I roll up in my 75 Camaro, canary yellow, right? Didn't have a CD player in it yet, because I don't think that they were readily available for cars. Okay? So I roll up, but I have a Sanyo boombox. I hate words, boombox, but it's a Sanyo radio. It's a portable radio. Because I think boombox, I think hip-hop and such. And I roll up, and I go, yo, I got this shit. We're going to listen to it. And everybody's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what? It was just crazy. And I think it was a Sanyo dual tape CD player. That's not important. So I sit down in the chair. I put it next to me. I put it in. And you listen to the first single, which everybody knew was Enter Sandman. Then it starts going into like Sad But True. And we're listening. I'm reading lyrics. I remember Jen was in the pool Phil was here, Chris was over there, Kim was here, Sputnik was there, Miles. I mean, everybody was there. This was like a listening party a week before it dropped. And we're listening and we're like, this is kind of weird. And I liked it, but I was like, well, we had like no idea of what to expect from this album. We were expecting like a continuation. Because like I said, if you look at Ride the Lightning, Master Puppets, and Justice for All, the song structures are the same. The way they're laid out on the albums are basically all the same. Where the instrumentals are, where the lighter songs are. You know, I don't want to call them ballads, but it's just the way it went. And I'm like, well, this is different. I didn't have a beard at the time, so I couldn't do this. I did have a mustache, though. Some say I looked like Hetfield when I was younger because I had the sideburns, and that's not important either. And we were kind of dumbstruck. Dumbstruck, is that a word? Or not awestruck, but dumbfounded. It wasn't what we were expecting. So I think we all kind of listened to it the one time, and that was really it. But, you know, subsequent listens after that, it grew on me. It became an album that I just listened to constantly. And I know the album alienated some of my friends at the time. They didn't like it because it had Nothing Else Matters, The Unforgiven on it. It had these songs that weren't Metallica. But I was at the point in my my life where I was kind of getting out of that it's metal or nothing. Like I started to appreciate other music and bands growing, a la Anthrax. I didn't necessarily like, and to this day I still don't like bands that, you know, stick to the same mold. And I'm not necessarily looking at you, Slayer, but I am. So as I listened to it, the more I listened to it, and the more singles dropped, and the more I fell in love with it. I really love this album. Look, there's 2 albums by Metallica I will always defend. Black Album and Saint Anger. Saint Anger is a whole different video. But I remember driving around in my Camaro, and, you know, we had the cassette player, and you would go out, kids, this is before, like, singles dropped. I keep saying kids, like, I don't know how many fucking kids are listening. So you would get singles. I don't know why we would buy singles, because if you had the whole album, you didn't need this. But on the B-sides, there would always be additional songs. So this one is Nothing Else Matters, but on the B-side is Enter Sandman Live. You can't really see that, but Enter Sandman Live. And, you know, singles also came with their own artwork. I don't have the sleeve for this. I don't know where it is. So this one is The Unforgiven, and it kind of carries over the theme with the Metallica. This is it might have been just Faded, who knows, but then down here, Unforgiven. And on the back, you got the band picture, and it has Unforgiven and Killing Time, which was what, a cover? I can't see, my eyes are going. I haven't listened to this in forever, obviously. Oh, there goes my other screen. Come on, turn on, thank you. So, yeah, like I said, and still to this day, people are super divided over this album. Now, obviously 30 million people aren't divided over this album, because this album sold about 30 million worldwide. Almost 17 million alone here in the United States. But I don't know. I still see people talking about it like that the day Metallica died was the day this album came out. And I look, I don't like Load. I don't like Reload. I do love Saint Anger again. That's a great album. You cannot change my mind. Snare and all. Death Magnetic and Hardwired to Self-Destruct were carried on the same tradition, I think, as the second, third, fourth album. I can't keep saying the names. I'm running out of breath. But yeah, just like looking back on this album, what's the best way to put this? Look, it was a leap of faith for Metallica, again, considering what their first 4 albums were, what they built their reputation on. Because I don't think that this album was a radio-friendly album when you look at what the music of the day was. Now, this album dropped right before grunge really took off, because in September you had Nirvana's "Smells Like Teen Spirit." No, Nevermind dropped. The single dropped for "Smells Like Teen Spirit" in September of 1991 as well, and metal in and of itself was on a downward trend, because in 1990 was, like, if you look at all the top albums from 1990 and heading into early 1991, they were mostly like pop, R&B, rap stuff. So this is 1990, right? Oh, sorry, this is 91. Let me look at, where's my 90 list? 90. Okay. The second half, I'm going to start like June. All right. So starting in June, Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em is #1 Billboard charts. And then for like 1 week, it's taken out by New Kids on the Block. Then you've got from July 7th to November 3rd, Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em by MC Hammer, #1 spot. Oh, and then it goes from November, right, November 1990 through February 23rd, 1991. This blows my mind that it spent this much time at #1, Vanilla Ice to the Extreme. #1 album in America. Like, people suck. So then you follow it up with Mariah Carey, R.E.M., Michael Bolton, R.E.M., Paula Abdul, N.W.A., and then you finally get into a little bit of metal with Skid Row, and then hard rock with Van Halen. So when the Metallica album drops, Natalie Cole's album's #1. All the hair bands of the late 80s, mid to late 80s, they're on the decline. So this album didn't fit any mold. It didn't follow in their traditional footsteps. It didn't follow hair metal. It obviously wasn't rap or hip hop. So they put this out not knowing what could happen. You know, I obviously think that they knew that they were going to alienate a large part of their base that had been there since the beginning. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that they put out this album totally different than everything else that they've done to date in August 12th, 1991. And like I said, it's a leap of faith. They're like, all right, we're just going to put this out there. Whatever happens, happens. And how do I do it? I'm backwards. It took off. And I don't think that they knew, or anybody else knew, it would be the success that it was. Even to this day, like in 2000, it was selling 1,000 copies a week. I think that was mostly digital, but I mean, that's crazy. This album is changed the landscape of metal forever in the 90s and forward. I mean, it, where was it? And this bothered me. Best-selling albums. It was like 235 all-time albums. Like, really? Who put that up? Talk to me, people. I thought I had this up. I thought I had it queued. My bad. The eighth best album in 1991 in Paz and Jop? What the fuck is Paz and Jop? Rolling Stone, which I've never read an issue of Rolling Stone. 2003, they ranked this self-titled album 255 on the 500 greatest albums of all time. Now, obviously, that encompasses all genres, but let's push it a little bit higher there. All right, and then they bumped it up to 235 in the 2020 revised edition. It was ranked 25th on Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Metal Albums of All Time in 2017. Spin ranked it 52 in the 90 Greatest Albums of the 90s. What else? But yeah, I mean, it's still selling to this day. It's it's an amazing album when you look at it musically and lyrically, like the emotion and the personality in each song. I don't know. Newsted's only credited with music on one. At least you can hear a little bit of his bass in it, right? I don't know. I think people that are still stuck on the thrash era of Metallica kind of need to broaden their horizons a little bit and realize what a game changer this album was. I mean, it really did bring metal to the masses. And this album, if you didn't know Metallica before, you did then. And I think what that did was people who didn't know Metallica and the thrash type of music, and I mean, granted, this wasn't a thrash album, I guarantee you some of them went back and looked at Metallica's back catalog and then were like, oh, I really like this. What else is out there? Like, how many other bands were people turned onto just by the Black Album and going back and doing research on Metallica? Got to be a hell of a lot when you think about it. I don't remember are the liner notes in here? Whoop, look at that. Yeah, I can't read them. It's too dark. But I don't even, it's not, I don't think it's like the traditional liner notes where it tells you bands and stuff. Like it used to be, you read a band, like a band put out an album, you'd go to the liner notes, not only to read the lyrics, but you would see what other bands they were thinking and they were talking about. Like, oh shit, that band? All right, I want to check that out. I want to, like, if the band you liked was talking about another band, you went and checked them out. And I just think that so much metal music was introduced to a new fan base because of this album. I mean, it makes sense. Come on. You've got to realize that. You have to realize the importance of this album. Whether it be when it came out, 10 years, 20, 30 years down the line, 40 years, I guarantee you, when it comes to the 40th anniversary of this album, which is, now that I think about it, I mean, Metallica is going to be celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. So this album dropped 10 years after. Wow, okay. I'm starting to really feel old. But yeah, I mean, the far-reaching appeal of this album helped the metal genre through the 90s, even into the 2000s. It opened up the doors for a lot of bands to be widely accepted. That's just the way I look at it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. It's an opinion. Remember, opinion can't be wrong. But I'm going to go with I'm not wrong. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to touch on, man. I just remember driving around in my 75 Camaro, listening to it, right? And so I got my high school girlfriend there, and her brother's in the back seat, and we've got like this playing, and he wasn't wearing a seatbelt because we didn't wear seatbelts back then. We lived on the edge, and he leaned up. He goes, you kind of look like James Hetfield. I said, son of a bitch. I like this kid. And then I broke up with her a few months later. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear what you think of this album, honestly. And keep it sane, keep it civil. How many people out there in this YouTube world were turned on to metal music because of the Black Album? I mean, at this point, how many of your parents, I mean, it's 30 years old now. Oh my God, I'm getting old. How many of your parents were turned on to it, which then turned you on to metal music? They took a huge chance with this album. You can't deny that they took a huge chance. You can call them sellouts all you want, but they could have put this out and it could have been the nail in the coffin for them because it wasn't anything that was on the radio at the time. It wasn't what the fans were used to. So they put this out and it fails. That's it. That could be the end of Metallica. And who knows where the genre itself goes from there. Like, it's crazy. You call them sellouts, but man, it's hard to call them sellouts when they're not following a trend. For me, a sellout is, okay, band X is doing this, right? But they see band Z is doing that, and they're like, well, band Z is making a shit ton of money. I'm going to go kind of in band Z's direction because I want the money. They could have gone Baroque with this. Like, huge chance. Unforgiven, Nothing Else Matters. It's A Wolf of Man is such a good song. So is Through to Never. It could have been the end of Metallica, and possibly the end of... Alright, I don't want to say the end of metal as we know it, but metal would have definitely taken a step back had it not been for this album's success. That's just the way I look at it, because it makes a lot of sense in my brain. So, congratulations, Metallica. I know Metallica's watching. They watch all this stuff. We're tight like that. Congratulations, on 30 years of this album. It's amazing. And another 30 years down the line, they're still going to be talking about this album. It's just going to be one of those albums that just lives on. It's still selling. It's obviously still talked about. The deluxe box set comes out September 10th. I think it is. And I didn't get it yet. I didn't get any of it. The only box set I got was Saint Anger. And I still haven't opened it. But they also are dropping, which is... it's not weird. It's different. They're dropping a whole album of covers by bands all over the world that covered songs off the Black Album. And a lot of them that all that I've heard so far, I just really haven't liked. But one came out the other day. They dropped one from Chris Stapleton, who did Nothing Else Matters. And man, if anybody could take a song and make it their own, that boy did it. It sounds like a Chris Stapleton song front to back. Like, if you didn't know Metallica did it, you'd think, wow, Chris Stapleton, that's a damn good song. And it rings in 8+ minutes. So if you haven't checked it out, do so. Chris Stapleton, Nothing Else Matters. It's a great version of the song. So I'm kind of interested to see what other covers are on there. I'm not going to get that. I'm going to get the box set. I have to do that. But, so yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. I'd really appreciate feedback. Just drop a comment below. There's nothing to link to. There's the show notes. I mean, this is awesome. Thanks to everybody for the feedback on all the recent episodes I've done. Subscribe, like, comment, hit me up with my IG. Is that how the kids talk? IG? I don't know. All my notes down below, as always. So, until next time, I've been Barry Lumbersquatch. This has been Candlesticks, Cheese Sticks, and Anxiety. You've been you. Have a good day.